Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second Anarchy analysis video this week. Today we're covering FlyQuest and CLG, two teams middle of the pack, and you're probably wondering why they got this actual video. Well, the reason being is FlyQuest have made some changes in the bot lane, bringing in Mash for a few games, and CLG have been, ever since Pobelter joined them, on a rise since Spring Split. And this is a sort of matchup that intrigued me, as a team that finished second is facing off against a team I predicted to be top 4 at least, but undershowed in spring. So, without further ado, let's just get this thing going with the DJ spinning that dial. Let's kick things off with already seeing 3 bans come through here, and they are the Volibear, the TF, and the Varus. We'll start with the Volibear. He's a prevalent top lane slash jungle pick in the current meta. Very good at ganking with the ultimate because it's able to turn off turrets, meaning that you can dive further than realistically you were able to before Volley was reworked. That being said, TF is another champion that works very well with the Volibear, as his dive potential with the Destiny is a good use for him. Also, having a lot of pressure on the map is a sort of a big powerful thing that teams like to use. The response though, obviously the Varus and the Trundle being the next man. A very big, Varus is probably the biggest ADC in the current meta. Very strong in terms of the amount of poke it can be done with a Comet Varus that goes lethality. It's tons of damage. It's essentially a Zoe Q without having to risk your own life getting in close to the opposition. As for Trundle, Trundle is a good ban. Probably one of the most prevalent junglers, bar the Volibear, in the current meta, because he's obviously very good at dealing with tanks, and with him bandits means that you're more likely to see some tanks being picked up by either team. Last ban out though from FlyQuest is going to be Yuumi, which is a good ban overall. Obviously it's a mainly blue side ban, and the reason being is the champion is so strong in terms of the amount of healing that she can do, plus it kind of does lower the priority of an Ezreal pickup first, because the champion works so well with the Yuumi. Yuumi's able to just sit on top of an Ezreal who can just use the arcane shift to get around, and then having the Izumis from the Yuumi keep him alive and keep him more mobile than what he realistically needs. And the last ban we need to talk about in this phase was the Ornn. Ornn is a strong champion towards the latter half of the game in terms of the amount of teamfight priority this champion has, and the reason being is his ultimate provides so much CC, his Q into E combo is a lot of CC in itself, and the fact that he also upgrades your items, and when you're mostly going to be building IE on your ADCs, getting that to Molten Core is huge. Death Crown on mid laners if they go on the AP route, and it's very, very promising to see this champion being banned, because it does mean less chance of a tank matchup topside. Getting into our first round of picks now, we start with the Aphelios pickup for FlyQuest, probably the main pick realistically for ADCs in the current meta. Very strong champion with the amount of burst this champ does towards the latter half of the game. In terms of being able to play it, it's very, very situational in how team fights are executed, because you want to have a certain set of guns to do a certain set of things, and obviously you're playing around timings mostly with this champion. As such, a good response into the Aphelios is an Ezreal, which we do end up seeing being picked up for CLG. Again, a champ with a lot of poke, a lot of harass. It's kind of the mini-me Varus, except you've got a shift, you've got the ability to harass with ease, even though there is a Callista that was available, which would have been a good champion into the Aphelios, one of them other S tier champions. Ezreal is still a good pickup. Alongside it though is going to be the Jarvan, champion that does provide a high amount of engage for CLG, which is something that they realistically want to play around to allow them the actual harass onto this Aphelios, who's going to be obviously having to play around timings, or why don't you just force the timing on him? As for the next pickup for FlyQuest, it's going to be their jungler. In response to the Jarvan, it's the Graves. 2 carries now on FlyQuest side already locked in. Graves, a great champion in jungle for clearing. He obviously gets quite a quick clear, considering he can auto reset very easily. Very strong towards the latter half of the game because he provides so much burst with his ultimate, and also a great utility tool in his smoke screen because that just stops attacks and it blinds the enemies. The response though alongside it is the Syndra for FlyQuest. Again, this team comp that FlyQuest are drafting has a lot of damage and carries already, so we should realistically see in the second half the draft some bulkier team members like the support and top laner being tanks maybe. But Syndra, great champion in terms of AP burst, another champ that has an execution realistically in their ultimate. Very strong champion that can control the mid lane. I would have said it was a flex pick, but Aphelios was obviously locked in, so it is realistically going in the mid lane. The response though for CLG is obviously to lock their support. They want to pinch the pool a little bit in terms of how they're playing this, so the bans are going to be obviously towards the bot side by CLG, but Bard's the lock-in here for CLG in the fact that it's a great mobility champion that provides some pathing for backline engage for this Jarvan with the magical journey the Bard has and the tempered fate, which obviously allows a lot of team fight prowess, which is something that this CLG team is obviously looking to do. So let's talk about the second ban phase in quite a general sort of view. CLG, as I said, ban out the supports, Rakan and Thresh taken off the board by them. Is again high engage Rakan and the Thresh that obviously is good in no matter what situation. Is a good set of bans by CLG overall. Rakan just is very good in engaging and setting up a team fight. It would have been a better pick if CLG took it for how they're setting up their playstyle, but obviously banning it is good. As for the FlyQuest bans, Echo and LeBlanc, 2 mid laners, very strong bans. Echo, high amount of burst in his kit, he obviously wants to dive onto you and kill you. LeBlanc's the same with her tools, and 2 assassin-esque champions banned out the game that Poe Belter could actually play. Now if I was Poe Belter, I'd be looking at say an Orianna to deal with the Syndra, just play around with that champion and survive. Even a Zoe would have been good in this matchup into a Syndra, but you know, we don't actually see that, as what the first lock-in is going to be is a Galio for CLG. Now this is adding to the Wombo combo that they've already set up with the Jarvan and technically the Bard, but this tool set that's been drafted in here by CLG is very hard to deal with because it provides a lot of lockup and engage that this team comp realistically is going to be looking to dive you. So what do FlyQuest do? They take a champion that can disrupt a fight. Set is the lock-in here. Very good champion in terms of making a play in a team fight. Like, you see a Jarvan who's going to Cataclysm, you ult the Jarvan, he's going to be taken away from the fight, meaning he's not going to be able to deal any damage. Similarly with, say, the Galio, you ult him away, he's not taunting up your backline or doing anything that you realistically don't want. And the last pick though for FlyQuest is another champion that thrives in pressure. I like this pick into the Galio in terms of the fact that it provides a roam game to FlyQuest, in terms of the fact that Galio can just turn up whenever he wants to, a different lane. So why not pick a champion that can do the same in the Pantheon? Considering TF was banned by FlyQuest, it's a good pickup here for them. And the last pick we need to discuss is the Jace. Top lane matchup into a set. Is Jace favoured slightly because any ranged champion into a melee is kind of heavy priority on the range side. They get a lot of harass, and essentially because Jace is technically half melee, half range, his kit out damages the sets because he can just reset his abilities by switching between them. But overall, these drafts are looking quite nice. I would say CLG got the slightly better stick of it in terms of how they want to play, but FlyQuest technically do have a responsive team comp in how they set up, which is obviously quite strong. However, CLG, it's up to them to make the plays. Whether or not they do or not is down to them and how they execute, but this should be a fairly interesting game overall. So as Champion Select ended, I explained how these two team comps played, and this is essentially the responsive team comp from CLG. What we see here is Pantheon coming to get his top laner ahead slightly, but the Roam coming in from the Galio and then the Jarvan lockup essentially make it an easy pickup here for CLG onto the support, who obviously won't have the damage kit. And what ends up happening here is the overextent from solo and top lane essentially gives over a kill. It then forces turret aggro onto the Galio and then the Jarvan, who go a little bit too far, and it essentially gives over 2-for-1 trade as well as the mid lane turret for FlyQuest. So the gold evens out realistically, bar say the fact that FlyQuest is still 2k ahead, but it was a very worthwhile play for CLG to make, though they did kind of overdive a little in that play, but it was very well executed in the response to the FlyQuest initial dive. But from there, this game is fairly Fly dominant up until one team fight where CLG managed to pick up 3 kills for themselves uncontested against FlyQuest. Essentially, what ends up happening is Jarvan overpushes to clear out a ward, and he immediately gets pincered on by 3 members of CLG. Even though Bard does fall, Aphelios is immediately the response kill for CLG here, and with your main ADC taken out, this is a fairly easy cleanup with the Galio ult coming in to lock up the other 2 members of FlyQuest, giving over 3 kills to CLG, which gives them a bit more map pressure in terms of the fact that the next Drake, being Elder, is spawning in less than a minute, which will allow them a bit of breathing room if they secure it. And also the fact that they removed 3 Baron buffs from the field, which again is a very big thing to have removed. However, FlyQuest would not give up Elder at all. They wanted this because this would essentially win them the game. Now, 2 members of FlyQuest do get caught out immediately to start this fight, as the Galio taunt hits them both, which thankfully pops Galio into status, and from there, when Galio comes out, Set just gets an easy ultimate off onto it, and he's immediately the first casualty. Jarvan then tries to follow it up with a Cataclysm onto the FlyQuest side of things, but he's again on his lonesome, and because CLG was so split in this fight, it was very easy for FlyQuest to turn on 1 member and then kill them off, and essentially from there, when you've got a 5-man numbers advantage against 1, it's very easy for you to just push into the enemy base, kill off the Nexus turrets, and then the last remaining member who's trying to protect his base, and essentially that wins FlyQuest the game because of how split CLG actually was. The response from FlyQuest was to punish the members that were kind of caught out and win themselves this game. So, what is my overall view of this game? This was actually fairly close, considering how the teams performed in spring, CLG's draft made a lot of sense to me. It was very responsive in the playstyle though, whereas FlyQuest had to respond in the draft to how they wanted to play this. FlyQuest controlled the actual game, whereas CLG controlled the draft. It was very ebb and flow, and FlyQuest, you give all the credit to him, played this draft very nicely. They obviously picked off members very well and used the tools that they were given very efficiently, giving themselves this win over a team that's kind of tied to them in CLG before the day was started. But overall, a very nice game to round out our Anarchy analysis match of the weeks for you guys. Anyway, my name is izlogic.business. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here or if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.